Day 1. The Recruit. There is a brass bell bolted to a wooden post in the middle of the compound, and for the next 6 months, it is the most important object in your life. You will walk past it every single day. It is polished, it works, and it belongs to you as much as anyone, because at any moment of any day, you are allowed to walk up to it, take the rope, and ring it 3 times. The instant you do, all of this stops. There is a hot shower 30 feet away. There is coffee. There is a donut and a dry set of clothes. And a bus that takes you somewhere warm where nobody will ever make you cold again. That is the deal. And they explain it to you on the first day, clearly, because they want you to understand that quitting is not against the rules. Quitting is a service. It is always available, and nobody will stop you. And that is the entire genius of the thing. You are one of about 150 men on this beach, and the arithmetic is the only briefing that matters. 7 or 8 of every 10 will not finish. Most are not weak. They passed the same tests you did to stand here. Some of the hardest-looking men in the row will be gone in a fortnight. Some you would not have bet on will be standing at the end. Nobody here, including you, can tell yet which one he is. The instructors are not shouting. That is the unsettling part. They are calm, and they already know the number. They have run this so many times, they can look at 150 volunteers and see the 40 coming with them, without knowing a name. You do not know why you are here. You will be asked later, in the cold, at 3 in the morning, and the good reasons, the flag, the challenge, the story you told the recruiter, none of them survive that hour. Only a stupid, wordless refusal survives that hour. You do not know yet whether you have one. There is a week in the first phase that has a name. They do not describe it. They just point, once, at the bell. Day 21. Breakout. 3 weeks in, on a Sunday, in the last of the daylight, it begins the way they promised it would not, with no warning at all. They call it breakout. One moment you are standing in a room, the next, the doors blow open, and the world becomes machine gun blanks and whistles and boots and men screaming at you through the smoke to get wet, get sandy, get in the surf. There are fire hoses. There is a wall of noise built specifically so that no instruction can be fully followed and no one can think. It is engineered chaos, and it is the opening ceremony of 5.5 days that will not contain a single hour of real sleep. Here is the clock you are now on. From this whistle to the moment they call it, roughly 130 hours. In it, you will cover more than 200 miles on foot and train some 20 hours out of every 24. They will feed you 8,000 calories in a day, and you will still lose weight because of what is being spent just to keep you shivering. 4 hours of sleep, not a night, total across all 5 days, handed to you in one cruel lump in the middle that makes everything after it worse, because now your body knows exactly what it is missing. And running underneath all of it, 30 feet away, warm and quiet and waiting, the bell. You are 90 minutes into 130 hours. And a voice in your head, reasonable, calm, sounding exactly like you, has already, quietly, for the first time, mentioned it. Day 22. The surf. The first night is the water. They walk you into the surf and lay you down in it, shoulder to shoulder, arms linked, boots to the ocean, a long human line in the dark, the waves coming up over you and pulling back, and coming again. This is not a swim. The point of it is to make you cold in a way you cannot fix. Cold is the weapon here, not the mud, not the running. A wet man in wind loses heat faster than he can make it. The shivering starts and does not stop, and it burns through you faster than any exercise they could invent. Your body spends everything it has just to hold its own temperature, and it loses. And this is where the first men go. Not the injured, the intact. Somewhere down the line, a man you trained beside for weeks, strong, fast, better than you at half of this, decides, in the water, in the dark, that he is done. He gets up. He walks up the sand to the bell, and he rings it. 3 flat notes, carrying over the surf. Nobody jeers. That is the part nobody warns you about. The instructors are almost kind about it. They wrap him in a blanket. They give him the coffee. They stand him where the rest of you, face down in the freezing water, can see him being warm. Not as cruelty, as recruitment. See how easy. See how allowed. All you have to do is stand up. And a man beside you, teeth going like a drum, says the truest thing anybody says all week. He says, "I'm not cold because I'm quitting. I'm quitting because I'm cold." And then he stands up. You do not stand up. You could not tell anyone why. The reasons are long gone. There is just the water, and the man on your left who has not moved, and the fact that you have not moved either. Hour 11 of 130. Day 24. The wall. By the middle of the week, you are no longer entirely a reliable witness to your own life. This is the stretch, Tuesday into Wednesday, the deepest part of it, where most of the men who are going to quit, quit. Not the first night, now. Because now the sleep debt has become something with its own weight, and the cold has been constant for 2 days, and the mind, starved of rest, begins to do things it has never done before. Men see things out here. It is documented, expected, almost routine. Candidates paddling a boat report a train crossing the ocean, a wall of faces in the fog, a dog trotting beside the squad that is not there. Your brain, denied sleep long enough, starts generating the missing world. You hold a calm conversation with someone who is not present. You follow an order that was never given. And through all of it, the bullhorns. The instructors have learned exactly what to say. They lean in close, almost gentle, and describe the shower, the donut, your own bed, and the person waiting in it, and ask you, warmly, why exactly you are doing this to yourself, when the answer is 30 feet away and takes 4 seconds. They are not trying to break you with pain. They have something better. They are the voice already inside your head, the one that has been making the reasonable case for 2 days, and they have given it a microphone. And it is a good case. That is the horror of it. There is no good answer to why are you doing this. The flag is not an answer at hour 60. Every reason you arrived with has been washed out of you by the cold, on purpose, and you are down to the thing underneath the reasons. The men who ring the bell here are not cowards. They are men who, at hour 60, went looking for the reason they were still in the water and could no longer feel one. That is all quitting is, in the end. Not pain. The moment the pain stops meaning anything, you go looking for yours. You do not find a reason either. What you find, instead, is the boat crew. 6 men and a small rubber boat you have carried on your heads for 2 days. And the fact that if you stand up, they carry your corner. That is not a reason. It is smaller and dumber than a reason, and it turns out to be stronger than one. You stay down for them, because the alternative is making one of them colder. Hour 60. You are still in the water. Day 26. Secured. It does not end with a finish line. It ends with a word. Friday morning, on a beach. Filthy. Hollowed out. Swaying on your feet. An instructor stands in front of what is left of the class and says, almost quietly, that Hell Week is secured. That is the word. Secured. And that is all. Look at the row now. 150 men stood on this sand 3 weeks ago. There are perhaps 40 of you left, and every one of you looks 15 years older than he did on day 1. You have covered 200 miles. You have slept 4 hours in 6 days. You have, some of you, hallucinated entire landscapes, and you did not ring the bell. And here is the thing they do not put on the recruiting poster, the thing that should be said once, plainly, and it will be said once. In 2022, a candidate named Kyle Mullen finished this exact week, finished it, passed it, and died hours later. The cold and the exhaustion they push you into are not a metaphor for danger. They are the danger. Everyone on that beach knows it. You knew it when you stayed in the water. You stayed anyway. You would think you would feel triumph. You mostly feel nothing, which is its own kind of information about what the week did to you. The triumph comes later, in pieces, for years. Because here is what the week was actually for. It was never about the 200 miles. Any reasonably fit man can be marched 200 miles. It was about the bell, about proving, to them and to yourself, that there exists a version of you that will not ring it. That when every reason is gone and the cold is total and a kind voice is describing your own warm bed, something underneath all of that will still, stupidly, refuse. They needed to know that thing was in you before they spent 1.5 years turning you into what comes next. Because Hell Week is week 3. Month 14, the Trident. You are not a SEAL. You survived the famous week and you are nowhere near finished, and nobody outside the fence understands that, so you stop trying to explain it. There is the rest of first phase. There is second phase, under the water, in the dark, where a quieter kind of fear lives. There is third phase, land warfare, weapons, demolitions. There is jump school. And when Buds is finally behind you, there is SEAL qualification training. Another 6 months, because everything up to now was only the audition to be taught the job. More than 1 year after that first bell, you stand in a formation, and they pin a gold trident to your chest. 14 months, give or take, of the hardest thing you have ever done, to earn the right to start. And you are still not deployed. You join a team, and a team owes it to its own to be certain of you first. So there is a workup, 12 to 18 months more. Only past the 2.5-year mark from the day you first walked past that bell do you finally go and do the thing all of it was for. Count it. The famous week that made the documentary is 5 days of a journey measured in years. The bell was the door. You have spent the years since on the other side of it. And somewhere in there, without ceremony, the thing changed direction. The refusal they built to keep you in the water does not switch off when you leave the beach. It cannot. That was the point of installing it. You are about to learn what it costs to own a thing that will not quit. Year 3, the cost. You get everything they promised. You are, now, one of the most capable people on the planet at one of the hardest jobs on it. You have done things most people will only ever see in a film. You have a team that would walk into anything for you, and you for them. And there is a closeness in that which almost nobody outside it will ever have. A group of men who each, individually, stayed in the water. And you cannot turn it off. This is the part the bell never advertised. That voice, the reasonable one, the one that spent 5 days describing the warm bed, the one you spent 130 hours refusing. You did not defeat it. You replaced it. You built a new one, underneath, that answers every signal your body sends with the same flat sentence it learned in the surf. You can do more. This is not the end of you. Do not stop. And that new voice does not know the difference between a beach in Coronado and a Tuesday at home. It is a magnificent thing to have in a fight. It is a difficult thing to have at a dinner table. Pain that should be reported gets overridden. Exhaustion that should be admitted gets refused. The people who love you ask how you are and receive, honestly, the only answer the machine now produces, which is fine, because the part of you that could have said otherwise is the part you drowned on purpose at hour 60, because it was the part that wanted to ring the bell. You would do it again. That is the part outsiders cannot hold. Ask any of the 40. Ask the man who saw the train cross the ocean, and he will tell you he would walk back into the surf tomorrow. Not because it was worth it in some accounting you could write down, because the man who came out the far side is the only one he wants to be, and there was no other door to him except that one, in the cold, past the bell. Here is the whole of it, the clock laid end to end. Day 1, they showed you a bell and told you the truth, that stopping was always going to be allowed, and warm, and easy, and yours. And then for 5.5 days, they did everything a human institution knows how to do to make you take it. You did not take it. You are still not taking it, years later, at a table with people who love you, when it would cost you nothing and help you enormously to reach up and ring it just once and say, I am not fine. The hand does not move. It was trained in freezing water at 3 a.m. to never move toward that bell for any reason, and it learned the lesson permanently, and it cannot now tell the difference between quitting a war and asking for help. That is what it cost. Not the miles, not the cold, not the 5 days. The bell was never the enemy. The bell was mercy. The one exit they left open on purpose the whole way through. You are the one who welded it shut.